been with us for a long time, and I think he has been with us for a long time. Very few outstanding personalities in the world live to this level. But I think he's, so far, given the age, given all of those kind of things we're talking about, I think he has been able to handle it very well. And he has always responded very well when he gets to the hospital. So let us just be content and be okay.
And finally, are you making any plans to go and see him?
Of course, yes, at the right moment, I will certainly do so. I will be communicating with the doctors. I'll be, at the right time, I will move.
That's the South African President Jacob Zuma with the latest on Nelson Mandela's health.
It's 19 minutes to 7. Swords, knives and a selection of guns were found at the home of the gunman who killed 20 children and 6 adults at a US school last December. Court papers released today also revealed that the 20-year-old fired 154 rounds in less than 5 minutes during the attack at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown. Johnny Diamond is our Washington correspondent. Johnny, what exactly have we learned today?
We've learnt that Adam Lanza clearly had a deep affection for guns and ammunition, which he kept in vast quantities, a lot of it in a gun safe in his own bedroom. And the list of guns and ammunition, knives and other accoutrements goes on over 3 pages in this search warrant that's been released. A couple of rifles, one of which he used to kill his mother, more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, knives, a bayonet, several samurai swords, eye protectors, ear protectors, holsters, ammunition holsters, you name it, it's there, along with, of course, a certificate from the National Rifle Association. Back at the school, in the car that he drove himself to the school with, there was another shotgun along with 70 more rounds. And as you say, there was details about how he actually carried out the slaughter at Sandy Hook Elementary School, shooting children in the first 3 classrooms that he found, shooting adults that he found there, until he took his own life with a shotgun. So probably a lot of food for thought there for thinking about gun control, which has pretty much stalled here in Washington, but a shocking amount of information about the arsenal that he and his mother kept at home.
Johnny Diamond, our Washington correspondent, thanks a lot.
It's 5 Live Drive with Ian Payne and Dominic Laurie. Now, we've all got used to the blue badge scheme for disabled drivers, but how about a green badge scheme for electric cars? As many of us gear up to hit the roads, if we haven't already done so, for the Easter getaway, a new report argues that drivers should be encouraged to go electric with perks such as free parking, an exemption from congestion charges and the right to park on yellow lines. Mark Roney is from the Institute for Public Policy Research, and he co-wrote the report. Let's speak to Mark first of all. So, are we hoping to encourage more and more people to use electric cars, and if so, why?
Well, because we need to get more of them on our roads. Whilst the government's cash grants and tax breaks are good, our research has shown that if we need to get more of them on our roads, we need to make our roads more friendly. Looking at international examples, other countries offer these kind of incentives, and we feel that it would encourage people to buy more of these vehicles if they were just much easier to use. That's why we're asking for local authorities to work together to create incentives that work for the local area and encourage drivers to buy more of these vehicles.
OK, stay there, Mark, because also on the line is Paul Horrell. He's a motoring journalist. Why do more of us not drive electric cars, Paul?
Well, that's easy, because they don't go very far. Most of them have a range not more than 50 or 60 or 70 miles in the real world when they're fully charged, which is really like getting into your normal car and setting off on a journey when the yellow low fuel warning light is already shining at you. You know, but they take away the fundamental freedom that a car gives you, which is to drive where you want, when you want. So I think that's really why people don't like them. Also, they're very expensive. That's somewhat ameliorated by the fact that there are already major incentives in place. You get a £5,000 or up to £5,000 grant from the government to reduce the price of the car, but even that isn't enough. And I think, you know, if you had something like a blue badge, or a green badge scheme, as they're calling it for electric cars, it may well encourage very prosperous people to drive into city centres. But you know, using electric cars to drive into city centres doesn't really help the environment, simply because it would increase congestion, particularly if they're able to park in places which would just block the traffic for the rest of us.
Right.
That's why yellow lines are there. They're there to keep the traffic moving, and if they block the traffic, they will just cause more congestion, which generally means more cars sitting there with their engines running, wasting fuel.
It sounds like you've custard pied the idea already. Mark, how do you respond to that? Too expensive, not enough people using it, and it's easy to see why.
Well, on the expense issue, the government does offer both cap grants and tax incentives, and our research has shown that over a period of years of owning these vehicles, employees of the public sector and of businesses that might buy them for them can save thousands of pounds. In terms of...
But if they don't go very far...
Well,
they're
again,
not worth having, are they?
Well, I'll take issue with Paul
Okay.
on that because it's not necessarily true. Some of electric vehicles are hybrid vehicles and they don't have
but
any
wait a
range
minute.
concerns.
If you bought, sorry if I may interrupt, but if you bought a plug-in hybrid, it could very well just be a way of gaming the system. You get your £5,000 off the government, and because these things can run on petrol as well, you would just drive around on petrol all the time and never plug it in.
Well, if that was a correct analysis, we wouldn't be so far behind.
Hold on a minute, Paul. Let Mark answer that
Forgive
one.
me.
If you look at our European neighbours, we are 15th behind them in terms of take-up of these vehicles, and they are using these incentives to encourage people to buy them. So if you look at Norway, which has free use of bus lanes in Oslo, has free parking, allows them to use the toll roads, they're way ahead. Denmark, which doesn't even have serious tax breaks or cash grants for them, they just basically allow them free parking and give them priority on a very long waiting list.
But,
Very
Denmark
quickly,
and
because
Norway-
we've got to move on. Go on, Paul.
Well, sorry, I was going to say, Denmark and Norway have a very high proportion of renewable electricity. In this country, we don't. If you look at the carbon content of the electricity that we have in this country, if you charge up one of the current electric cars, such as, say, a Nissan Leaf, you'd find that its emissions would be about 60 grams per kilometre, taking into account the carbon in the electricity. Now, actually, diesel cars are getting quite close to that now, and certainly hybrid cars are. So the trouble is, if you incentivise a technology which doesn't really have much of a chance of improving our carbon, reducing our CO2 output as a nation, I think you're kind of barking up the wrong tree. I'm very much in favour of truly green cars, but the electric cars that you're talking about, used in the way that you're talking about, unfortunately aren't really aren't a solution.
Gentlemen, I've got to leave it there. I'm very, very sorry. Just want to read out one great text on this subject from Mark in Kent, who says, I drive an electric car. I definitely do not expect to park on yellow lines, but I do expect to be able to park in allocated spaces. Really annoying when other cars use them. I don't park in front of fuel pumps when I stop to buy milk at the garage. Also, no congestion charge is good. We don't pollute the city air. Thank you, Mark.
The excellent